Should not be based upon opinion. I just don't like it. I don't want that. I don't think that's acceptable to me. That's not where your decision should be made. And that's why when we swear in planners and engineers, their testimony to you is very important in the process. So that's, the opinion testimony really comes from the experts in this realm. And our manager is a planner, so her opinion on this matters, as does Kim's opinion as well, her opinion testimony. So that's where you make your decision.
So then the driving of Edgemoor and Kensington Place, which are nearby communities, would fall into line with what you're saying. Does this fit in the area?
That is one of the considerations that
Okay.
you should consider in your deliberative process. Now, in just a little bit, after we have Ashley's testimony, then we're going to go through with each commissioner and ask what ex parte communication you've had, meaning any communication you've had outside of these chambers. You should delineate that on the record, so that's all before you. And the follow-up question that I'll have is, has that ex parte communication influenced your vote this evening? So those are the questions we're going to have in just a little bit. Now, going to what Kevin just said, if we cannot have our staff, our professional staff testify, as I said earlier, you have three options before you. One is to approve, and approve with conditions. You can have add other conditions to your motion. You can table it to a date certain in the future, or you can deny it. If you approve it, you should approve it with the statements that have been made before you, the expert opinion. It should be based upon that. If you deny it, you should do the same thing. I'm very uncomfortable if our expert is unable to testify because of technical difficulties, leading us to the third option, which is to table to a date certain in the future.
Can Ashley come in just by phone?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Do y'all want to take a small recess till we get her back on?
Bruce gonna hold up.
It's a good idea.
Yeah. Kim, we would take a small recess till you get, that work? Okay, we'll take a 10-minute recess. All right, at this time, we'll call this meeting back to order. So while we have Ashley on, we're going to have Ashley to speak at this time before we lose her again. Is she there?
Okay. I had the phone and this on, so if I go out, I'll call back on the mute line, but I can't do it at the same time because it's repetitive. So can y'all update me on the conversation or just ask me whatever questions you have, or if you want me to do a presentation, I will.
Actually, I think I can do that real quickly. Kim made her presentation in front of the commission, and we talked about the future land use map and the requirements of the comprehensive plan. There was some discussion about that. There was discussion about the land development code, and that she believed that the back half of the property was zoned R1, the front half is zoned Ag. And there was some discussion about, in the R1 zoning category under a land development code, the lot size is mandated to be 100 feet. And she said that if they went to straight rezoning, it would be, I believe she said 40-foot wide lots potentially. And that was unacceptable to the city, hence the reason going to a planned development district. And that there are a number of amenities that the developer is providing associated with the development as a planned development district. And so the question was, well, what standard do we use? And what the commission question to me was, what standard do we use to determine should we keep the property at R1 and Ag, or do we change the zoning to something different? In this instance, what's before them is the planned development district. And I said, that's where you need to listen to primarily the experts, you holding a planning background and expertise, and Kim, who is an engineer. And your decision should be based upon not only the potential rezoning, but also compatibility issues, density, intensity, that sort of thing. That's where your determination should be made. And of course, in a quasi-judicial hearing, the determination under Florida law is based upon substantial and competent evidence, and that is primarily, especially from an opinion standpoint, engineers, land planners, and that sort of thing. So I think I've summarized the discussion that was had before you got on the line, and if I've unfairly or not summarized it properly, I would ask Kim to tell us if there's anything else she wanted to add to that. She's shaking her head no. She's okay. She says, go ahead.
Okay, so I think what'll be helpful is if I just go to my two of the slides on my
Yes.
presentation, the future land use and the zoning, and when I go over them, I'll tell you what size lots they are, because it's not just the width of the lots, it's also the size of the whole lot. I'm gonna try to share screen. I'm not. Okay. And then I'm gonna try to share the screen. Can y'all see that?
Okay, now.
Yes, we can see it now.
we can.
Okay, so just to kind of go over the future land use, and then I'll try to answer some of your questions. The current land use is future land, which, as Kim stated, she was correct. You know, the comp plan and the future land use usually not usually, always trumps the zoning. But you still, the way we have a table in the comprehensive plan where there's a number of categories that can be compatible, and this is one of those. So the current land use is actually residential suburban, that's the yellow piece, and mixed use is more the tan. So the residential suburban is 1 to 4 dwelling units per acre, and the mixed use is 12 dwelling units per acre, which Kim had under 4. The north end is more of the residential suburban, the 1 to 4 dwelling units per acre. The the south, to the south is mixed use, and to the east is business commercial, which is also 12 dwelling units per acre. In the west is mixed use, 12 dwelling units per acre. So as you can see, except for the residential suburban to the north, you have the 12 dwelling units per acre all around. That's why staff's recommendation is that it definitely is compatible. That and the residential suburban is compatible. Now, if you go to the zoning, y'all know the proposed plan development, it is 50-foot wide lots, but they're 5,750 square feet. So they're closer to the 6,000 square feet than 5,000 square feet. And I do think that's an important distinction to make. And the other ones are 6,900 square feet. So obviously that's closer to 7,000 square feet. So I think when you hear the 60-foot wide, you think 6,000 square feet. But it's actually closer to a 7,000 square foot lot. That's huge. The current R1, I think that was a question. Y'all said it was 100-foot wide. Yes, it is. But it requires a 22,000 square foot lot, and that's if it's on city water and sewer. So as Kim stated, you know, that would be very expensive and probably cost prohibitive. As she stated, I have never seen someone bring a lot that big and put it on city water and sewer. She is correct. The north end is R1, the south end is R1. To the east is, again, the 22,000 square foot lots. To the east is 7,500 square foot lots, which, you know, she goes up to 6,900 square foot lots. And to the west is R1, which, if you look at it closely, it's very close to that C3, which allows the smaller lots. So, you know, staff, the reason we went with the PD is because, you know, if we went with R3 straight zoning, that allows 4,500 square foot lots, and we knew you didn't like that. So the next jump would be R2, which is 7,500 square foot lots, which didn't fit with the, you know, what the developer was originally bringing in. It was too high. So, and we prefer to go with plan development because through the plan development, the developer agreement and the plan development, both, we were able to make a much nicer development, which included the facade improvements, the elevation improvements, the landscaping, nicer entryway. I mean, just a whole host of things that she threw in, that she's been the first developer that was willing to try to put something that I think kind of needs more. If you're going to have something dense, it's going to be something nice and something that can feel good and be something I think the community can be proud of. So that's why we went with the PD. It gave us flexibility. And Kim was right. I mean, she gave a lot. I don't know what I gave her back. She gave me a lot more than I gave back, significantly. So another thing with Bailey, one of the concerns was on the zoning, and I'm bringing this up. There was concern. We looked at the surrounding land uses with zoning, and what he was asking for was very, very different. So we were having Allison come up and speak to that. But with what's surrounding the zoning, yes, what's down there is larger lots, but what in reality can go right, you have two big chunks of C3 on both sides. I mean, that allows the 7,500 square foot lots, which many of the lots in the subdivision are 6,900 square feet. That is compatible. It's close enough to be considered compatible, I think. But again, it doesn't mean you have to approve it because it's zoning. But there is an argument to make there. Now, that's pretty much all I have. And if you have any more questions for me, you can let me know.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? All righty. All right. So at this time, anyone from the audience like to speak?
discussion. And I came with knowing that the previous zoning in our historically High Springs was 100 feet by 100 feet lots. So when I listened to the presentation and information that I had gathered previously, it sounds great. It sounds like you got some good ideas in there. But it's my understanding that what we're deciding here tonight is not to approve her plan, but to make a decision based on the rezoning. And like when you heard her talk, I believe she said that we are entitled because a precedent has been set, that this is, this has been done before. And so she's like real nice about it. But if we go into a decision to rezone, other builders can come in here because the precedent has been set and maybe not be so nice. And then the onus is on the city to say, no, you can't do it because of, whatever reason. So it puts the city in a vulnerable position. So I think not so much saying anything bad about what you have to say, but just the concern over what we put in our records then for anybody else to, to be able to do. Thanks.
Anyone else from the audience? Was you sworn earlier? No. You didn't stand to be?
If you want to speak this evening, you do need to be sworn in, because this is a quasi-judicial procedure. So yes, sir. If you come to the podium, if you would, please, then raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And give us your name, please.
David Gardner.
Thank you, David.
I wrote down some stuff, and after hearing a bunch of stuff tonight, I'm not sure how pertinent it is, to be honest with you. But my wife and I have lived here for 11 years. We came from Tampa to escape all of this nonsense of all these big communities and no backyards and everything. I guess I'll never be a townie because I've only been here for that long, but I walk a lot around town and I talk to a lot of different people. And almost everybody, I'm not going to say everybody, but almost everybody that I talk to about it's just a hot subject in town, as I'm sure you're well aware of. They all seem to say, this is not a good idea. This is not High Springs. This is not why I moved to High Springs. We moved to High Springs for a small, quaint town. We don't want to be Newberry. We don't want to be Alachua. We want to be High Springs. And I think that's important. And I think it's important that you folks on this commission listen to the people, not just what the code or, listen to what the people want, not what you want, what the people want. The people elected you, and the people can take you off the board as well. So kind of remember that, I guess, when you do vote on this. I think it's important that you listen. So that's all I got to say. Thank you.
Anyone else? Anyone else? Was you sworn in earlier?
No.
Okay, then we can hold off on that then, ma'am. It's going to be a part where we can, anything not on the agenda? Yes. Anyone want to speak on this matter? Anyone else want to speak on this matter?
If you'll come on up to the podium and raise your right hand, give us your name, please. Did you say Janet?
Sandra.
Sandra, thank you. Sandra Gardner, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
Do.
The witness has been sworn, Ms. Mayor.
I think my biggest concern is
We are a community that is growing. We have a lot of houses that are being fixed up that were abandoned, and the families are moving into them. These properties that I'm hearing about are properties where you're taking a bunch of people and jamming them into a small place, and that's not High Springs. I don't even see in some of these lots, are they going to be able to put a swing set back there? Are they going to be able to put a little wading pool back there or something? Can they put a vegetable garden in? And I worry about children in the streets, because a 3-year-old, mom's not going to say, okay, you can go over to the free space and play and just let the 3-year-old run over there. She's going to want to have her eye on him, just like my mom did when I was a kid. And I had to stay in the property unless I told her otherwise. But you can't, I mean, I apologize. I know that she says kids don't go out and play anymore. Well, I'm sorry. I sit on my front porch and I see a lot of kids out there playing. And if they're not playing, then that's really sad, because kids need to get up and run around. But I just don't like it. I also don't like the idea of these kids coming into these new properties, going to another town to be educated. They are then not part of our community. And that makes their parents not part of our community, because they will go to those schools to participate in activities and boards and everything else. And I don't think that's right. I don't think that's fair to the kids. And I don't think it's fair to split the community like that. You're going to have those that do and those that don't. Those that are part of our community and those that are not. And it's all because of money. And I really think that you need to consider the precedents you really are starting to set here. You, like my husband said, you let one in, and I'm telling you, they're all coming. They're all coming, just like they are in Newbury. And I just think it's wrong. The city is a beautiful city. Outskirts, lovely land and property. And to jam a bunch of cookie cutters into the place is just, into a small place. That's a small place. I just think that's wrong. I'm sorry. It used to be a beautiful hayfield. We can turn it into a lovely neighborhood, but we don't have to do what you guys are talking about or liking or whatever. That's not High Springs, and that's not why I moved here to retire, so that all the children can go someplace else to go to school and go to sports teams and go to Girl Scouts or Boy Scouts, someplace else, but live here. That's just not the old-fashioned way of doing things. Somewhere along the way, somebody's got to put their foot down and make it stop.
Okay, anyone else want to any discussion on this matter? Okay, seeing no one rising. Commissioners, what's your pleasure?
And
Yes, sir.
while we're there now with the commissioner deliberation, if we'll start with each commissioner and go through whether there's been any communication outside the hearing this evening, and whether that's influenced your decision for, against, or whatever. So that's what we should do at this point, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
I'm at the end. Should I start? I have received a lot of emails. I think the entire commission has received the same. I have not received any email to private email. It's all been through the city. I have had communication with a few residents in town that live in smaller subdivisions that have reached out. None of that communication has any impact whatsoever on my vote.
Can you recollect, Commissioner Whites, who the people were that you spoke with?
It would all be part of public record because they've sent emails.
Okay, very good.
Other than the emails that have gone, I have not spoken to anybody specifically about this issue, and I am basing my decision based on the information that's been presented in the packet and the conversation tonight.
I have not spoken with anyone other than what's come in through my email, city email. And I will base my opinion on what has come through. I mean, I don't understand what you're saying there. I mean, we have to come to an opinion, so, but no one has influenced me either way.
The way this procedure started, when there was a decision, it's called the Snyder decision 10 years ago, and we started having quasi-judicial proceedings, very different than what we had before that time. It was just a determination of should this be zoned or not zoned in a certain way. So the Supreme Court of Florida said, we're going to adopt this quasi-judicial procedure, which basically makes you like a judge. That's basically what it does. And initially, the decisions that were under Snyder said you can't talk to anybody outside of this hearing. It's any ex parte communication would be improper. And then a couple of years after Snyder was decided, the courts started to say that's silly because commissioners have to talk to their constituents. And that rule is not something that city commissioners, mayors can follow because they need to talk to their people that elected them. That's the whole nature of local government. So the rule was modified to say, if you've talked to your constituents outside of this hearing, either electronically via email or on the phone or on the street, or somebody comes up to you at breakfast at the local restaurant and says, hey, I think you should vote against this because of these reasons, then you're supposed to disclose that in this procedure as to whether or not you've had that communication, and also advise as to whether or not that communication has influenced your decision, or are you taking the information from what you've received here this evening. And the decisions are also that you can listen to your constituents, and part of your decision can be based upon what your constituents are telling you. But it cannot be a decision based upon the raising of your hand. How many people are for it? How many people are against it? Well, we counted 54 and we've counted 20 against, so I'll vote for. That cannot be how you decide. You have to make a decision based upon the things that you've heard this evening: compatibility, the surrounding areas, the impact that this development will have on the community as a whole, schools, water, sewer, your road system, all of those things. And I think the final point that I would make in these cases that have been decided since Snyder is you don't leave your common sense at the door. You're still able to apply common sense, but it should be based upon the facts that you've heard, and whether you vote for it or against it, you should be able to enunciate some of those principles as to why you're voting for something or why you're voting against it. That's what this ex parte deliberation portion of it is all about.
Mr. James?
All the written documents that I've received have also been forwarded here to the city. And I think I can, well, not think, I know I can make a decision irregardless of the documentations that were received.
No more than the emails that I received, and I can base my decision on the evidence I heard on tonight. All right. Any discussion? Any votes? Do I have a motion?
I make a motion, we approve 2022-04 at this point so they can move forward with their planning.
Have a motion, is there a second?
Second?
Yeah, motion and a second. Okay, any other discussion? Okay, so based on what I heard on tonight, developer, they reached far and beyond to try to work with the city, far and beyond. And here now, 40-foot lots, I can't deal with that. But 50-foot lots, I can kind of deal with that. Because we got to have a base where you have, I don't like that word affordable house. I don't like that word because there's such things affordable, it's what I can afford. So, but on a 50-foot lot, the home will be more reasonable financially wise for someone to move into it. Because everybody don't want to live in a $600,000 home. Some people can't afford to live in that type of home. So I think we need to have some kind of diversity in the community that we can be invited to other people. And going for the area that it's in, just basically kind of across the street from there, there's a subdivision. I don't know the lots are 40-foot or 50-foot, but it's a small subdivision off of 222, which is much closer to where we're talking about putting these homes. So it's pretty much compatible for that area. And based on that, I think a pretty good fit. And like, and other things, just a cemetery there. Who knows what's gonna happen with the agricultural property coming? And I understand people saying, High Springs is this. You know, sometimes I wonder, if I had some attitude that some people moved into High Springs, some of you sitting in this place wouldn't be here today. You wouldn't be here. I've been here all my life. All my life, born and raised. Some of the places where I used to hunt rabbits, pick chanky pins, have homes these days. Not just what if. I had that type of attitude. You wouldn't be here. So we got to be sensible and think about others also. Let's try to create a town for everyone can live peaceable and comfortable. Peaceable and comfortable. And again, everybody can't afford a $600,000 home. So, with that being said, any other discussion? Any other discussion? Hear none?
Mayor Williams,
Yes.
Vice Mayor James. Yes. Commissioner Ambrose,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones.
Yes.
Commissioner Whites.
No.
Okay, motion carries 4-1. All righty, moving right along. At this time, citizens' requests and comments for issues not on the agenda. Please state your name for the record and limit your comments to 5 minutes, please.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, sir.
Mr. Mayor, Madam Vice Mayor, Commissioners. My name is Abronsi Martin, and I'm a candidate for Circuit Court Judge. Mr. County City Attorney, how you doing this evening?
Bronson, good to see you like always.
I know the hour is getting late, and y'all have had a lot of work to do so far, so I'm not going to belabor this. I'm a candidate for Circuit Court Judge. People don't know a lot about judges. I notice when you look on the ballot, I think most people don't know who any of those folks are. So quite frankly, I came here for y'all to get a good look at me. So I think y'all got an idea of what it is to be a judge. And there, we don't get to wave a banner. We don't get to have a particular agenda. All we can say is that we're going to be fair and impartial. So here I am. If you're interested in learning a little bit about me, I'll be here to the end of the meeting. I have some information about me. I greatly appreciate it if you take that and ask me some questions that I can't answer, and I hope I'll can earn your trust and prove that I can be a good circuit court judge. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Thank you. Okay, ma'am, I thank you. Yes, ma'am.
because I'm just a citizen here in High Springs for 26 years. I live on Highway 27. My problem is the traffic. I have, pardon? Donna Root. Yeah. Okay. So I'm worried about the traffic that is piling up on Highway 27. We just talked about lot size. My lot is 50 by 100, and it has an old 126-year-old home on it. When they widen the street comes up almost to my porch. I go out, I try to do my gardening, I try to enjoy my front porch, and I have 18-wheelers going by way over the speed limit. So it's 30 miles an hour right here. It goes to 35 as soon as the houses begin. And the houses are right there. I drove an 18-wheeler for almost 20 years. And they don't need to be going that fast in this tiny little area because there's no room for error at all. 3 of the houses have already been hit. And my concern is we're not rich along that stretch. And if a big truck comes by and wipes out my house and my porch, they're probably going to take me out with it. But if they don't, then who's going to take care? Yes, I have insurance, but I'm sure some of the people that live along there, they've owned those homes. Like yourself, you've been here for so long, those homes have been here forever. The people are not rich, they've been there. Who's going to help them? If they don't have insurance, they have to go up against the big trucking companies. And you're not going to win. And I'm afraid that one house that was hit down there, I saw the hole in the house for a long time, so they probably had somebody come in and fix it. I talked to the man that owns the bike shop down by where Old 9th Street was. He said a motorcycle already went into the house across the street. And the house beside me, somebody went off the road and they have no place to go but right into the house. So I'm asking for help. I've called the police until they finally told me, go to a meeting. So that's why I'm here tonight, to say to you, okay, I've been sent here to talk to you because they're tired of listening to me. I called the county, the state. They told me to buy a mannequin, put a police uniform on it, stick my hairdryer in the hand of the mannequin, set it out on the street, and maybe, just maybe, they'll slow down. Well, at the speed that they're going to blow it over if you don't put a cement. So anyhow, I don't know. I'm asking for help because I'm here. I've been here for 26 years. I'm trying to fix that old house up. I put a roof on it and they wouldn't even let me choose the color. I wanted a tin roof, and no, you can't have a tin roof. They chose the shingles. It's an historic home. So if we're all going to work together to save these old houses, like they're trying to make me, please, we need some help along there. I don't know what to do. As a driver, definitely a caution light at where Old 9th Street was. So when they leave the Main Street and they look ahead, there's a caution light. At least that would let them know that something ahead makes a difference between going 35 and 50. But in the morning, I get up and I feed my cats between 4 and 5 o'clock in the morning. You have convoys of cement trucks going to Brantford. You got rock trucks, and they are moving. They're moving so fast. I've taken up calling the people whose names are on the side of the truck. And they're not very responsive. They basically, the log trucks tried to tell me that the logs were more important than the speed of the trucks because we need toilet paper and tissue paper and paper towels. So it's okay for the log trucks to go through at 50 miles an hour. So anyhow, I'm asking for any kind of solution, any help that I can get. I'm going to buy, I'm going to buy a radar gun, and I'm going to try to get the speed. I'm going to try to get the name. They go so fast you couldn't even get the license plate. People ask me about that, but I've been sitting here, and you can hear motorcycles going by, and they're not going 30, 35 mile an hour. So please, if there's anything I can do, I'm available to be on a committee. I'm available to do anything, but we've closed bypasses. 9th is closed. The fire trucks go down my street, 242. They don't go down the other street because they've been cut off to large trucks. So I've got, I'm really frustrated. So
All right. Thank you, ma'am. Yes, sir, Chief Shep.
US Highway 27, that is controlled by the state. Everyone is aware of that, but that's FDOT. I know that the Assistant City Manager and Public Works are working on some traffic calming for big semi trucks. I haven't had the pleasure of speaking with you, so I'm not aware of your complaints. However, US Highway 27, we have done studies with our traffic trailer. I have those figures to share with you, where there's not a ton of speeding in that area right up in there. That's based on the data, okay? I think a lot of people sometimes conceive vehicles that are speeding, and you know.
they've told me that so many times.
Absolutely.
I drove one,
But,
and I know. I'm
And
sorry, I can tell by the RPMs.
and I'm familiar with where you stay at in that particular area, near the bed and breakfast. That's a very congested area. Now, where we do have a lot more speeding on 27 as it go further out past 13th Street and 14th Street. That's where, but I don't know if you've been around today, but our officers are out constantly doing traffic, especially during the summertime.
Last man I called told me he was,
Well,
and so that's why I'm here,
absolutely. I am there Monday through Friday. I'm there after the holidays. Feel free to come out and talk with me. I'm the chief. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Anyone else?
Mayor Bruce here.
Yes.
We have asked DOT for a traffic study down there. We're waiting for a response back. It's gonna go with that other deal we're working on with 27. And just for a matter of clarification, emergency vehicles, including the fire trucks, are exempt from any of our axle restrictions that we have. So they go down 244 through 242, depending on where the call is located. That's all I got. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? Yes.
Hi, my name's Janet Evans. I have a prepared statement that I'd like to read. However, before I do, I just want to repeat what I said earlier, that the vote we had tonight was on rezoning, not on that lady, the nice lady that had the wonderful plan. That may be her plan, but we've now opened up a can of worms where.
Ms. Evans, you need to speak on the matter that you want to bring. We already voted on that. We already moved on from that item. So you
That's
want to speak to
right.
the.
I forgot. Thank
yeah,
you.
Thank you.
Okay. The three things that I'd like to bring up at tonight's meeting, number one was that the ARP money that was given out in the bonuses. Two was the ARPA money for the next round. And then third, that I've made a public records request to see written documentation from Tallahassee supporting our city's attorney's claim that the mayor and the vice mayor did not act inappropriately. As I stated in the May 12th meeting, almost $400,000 of the ARPA money from the state was used for all city employees rather than only the first responders, which had been sold and prioritized by the commissioners in December. No specific amount was assigned. $400,000 was the single biggest ticket item of all. I personally think a good bonus is $2,000 or $3,000, but how did we ever get to $400,000? I made a public records request to see how that was distributed, and there were 23 city employees that received $10,000 bonuses. 14 city employees received $5,000 bonuses, and the remaining received bonuses of $2,500. First responders obviously had more risk, as we didn't know what COVID-19 was at first. Not, for example, someone in human resources that maybe had to work more hours, but the city offices were closed to the public. Certainly not folks in Parks and Rec, where they were just doing their regular outside job and not interacting with the public. City employees seemed to reprioritize some of the commissioners' priorities and made the decision regarding the bonus amounts. Now, I'm aware that the salaries for our city employees are low when compared to other cities our size, but this should be brought up in the next budgeting process and not through money such as ARPA. Budgeting discussions will begin soon. I'd like to encourage the public to attend those meetings. Concerns or suggestions can be brought up at the meetings such as these, or even emailing a letter to our commissioners to read the letter aloud for them. My point is that everyone's voice counts. I want to repeat my suggestion that the small businesses who suffered here during the lockdowns be allowed to apply for grant money from the city to help them recover from their losses. Our city employees did not miss a paycheck, but many of these shops were told to close their doors. I also want to suggest that all remaining money be delegated to improving our infrastructure. As a candidate for city commissioner 2 years ago, I learned that the quality of our water right here underneath our city is some of the best in our country because of our springs. In fact, we are among the top 3 places in the world with such treasure. But I also learned that the quality of our water in our homes is the #1 concern for many of our residents because our infrastructure is old and outdated. Hopefully, more of the public will attend the next round of ARPA discussion and participate in the decision-making matrix. Currently, if I could just have a minute more, please.
Go ahead, ma'am.
Currently, matters discussed includes acquiring an AMI automated metering for gaining revenue for the city by replacing old meters, thereby getting more revenues for the city. This transition is not included in our current budget and is estimated to cost $2.1 million. However, automated metering is only a partial need. We, the city, are losing money because our pipes are leaking, and that's waste due to our aging, outdated infrastructure. Billing water differently isn't going to do a darn thing to improve the quality of our water. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Oh, thank you. I thought y'all was coming to speak. All right. All right. All right, there's no one else? We'll move on to new business. Okay, discuss and consider act on ordinance 2020-22-09.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, this is an ordinance of the City of High Springs, Florida, amending the City of High Springs Land Development Code as amended pursuant to an application LDC 22-02 by the City Commission relating to an amendment to the text of the Land Development Code, providing for revising section 2.02.00 entitled Allowable Uses in Zoning Districts, providing severability, repealing all ordinances in conflict, and providing an effective date. The appropriate motion is pass ordinance 2022-09 upon its first reading by title only, and I'll note that we've read it twice now.
Yes. Yes.
Presentation is like 3 slides. That's it, just to kind of explain
Okay, go ahead,
what this
please.
is about.
Go ahead.
Okay. Can y'all see that?
Not yet. Okay, now.
Yeah, we can see that.
Okay. So what this basically does is we opened up the allowable uses table to create an ag district because in our new comp plan, well, in our current one as well, there's ag, but we don't have it in zoning. So there's references all over the place, but we don't ever say what it is or what uses are allowed. So we thought we needed to fix that. So I just want to go over, the table includes little boxes. The P stands for permitted by right on the uses. The SE, those are uses that would go to plan board for a decision. And and then conditional use, obviously that goes to y'all. So the ones that would be permitted by right include all agricultural operations, detached single-family homes, which is just regular single-family homes, accessory dwellings, and home occupations, philanthropic institutional offices, clubs, fraternal lodges, police, fire, rescue stations, government offices, parks, open space, churches, and solar farms, because they are, by state statute, they have to be allowed by right in ag. Permitted by special exception, which is the plan board, would be attached single family and duplexes. Permitted by conditional use, which would be, and that go up to city commission, would be nurseries, pet grooming, gun ranges, veterinarian, hospital, storage, recycling center, communications, transmission towers, collection and distribution lines, rec facilities, horseback riding, zoos, camps, schools, daycare, hospital, post office. Basically, the reason those would come up to y'all is because in ag zoning, a lot of times we don't have the utilities out there yet, and because you have more, obviously, agricultural uses, so those are heavier uses, so that's why that would come before you. Now, at the same time, we did do some edits to other things that this is a table that you're always correcting. As soon as you pass it, we notice something the next week that we need to still fix that we forgot to fix. So we're kind of doing some minor edits. We had taken out residential attached on accident, so we put that back in, and it's allowed by special exception in ag and residential now. Hotel, motel, special exception in commercial, group home, special exception, residential and commercial. I think right now I'm allowed to make the decision myself for group home, and I just would rather the plan board make it. Convenience stores, C1, there's only a really, really small amount of C1 in the city, but we allowed it as a permanent use. Tobacco vape shops, that's one we do not even have on the table right now, and people are looking at coming right in, and so we'd have to consider it retail, which would just be allowed. So we did conditional use in C3. So they wouldn't be allowed downtown. CBD hemp establishments, we don't have that on our table. So we did special exception, which would go to plan board in commercial zoning. Pharmacy, that little sliver of C1, we said permitted by right in C1. Other minor edits, storage, is allowed by enclosed conditional use, which means that we go up to you in C1, C2, in permanent in public, semi-public, and outside storage is permanent in public, semi-public, which most of all of that we own. So actually all of it, I think. So that allows us to kind of do what we're doing already. Professional offices, philanthropic, institutional, dispatch, that's permitted by right in public, semi-public. Basically, there's a number of things that we do in public, semi-public. It's just not on the table. So we cleaned that up. And the third bullet point speaks to that. Golf courses, conditional in all categories. The second to last one, again, was things that would be allowed in public, semi-public that we don't list, and school and cemeteries, permitted by right in public, semi-public, which they already are. So that's it. And if y'all have any changes or questions, and just let me know.
What your manager is doing is giving you tighter control over a lot of these uses in these specific, for example, the conditional use or a special exception gives you the widest latitude for making a decision if you're determining a vape shop or something along those lines as to whether it goes in or is excluded. So that gives you a lot more control over uses down the road.
Okay. All right, thank you, sir. Any questions? I was going to say, any questions from the audience, but the audience gone. Okay, commissioners, what's your pleasure? Somebody gonna make a motion?
I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion. We approve 2022-9 as presented. And I appreciate the fact that we're tackling some of these things ahead of time versus going, how did we allow that? So thank you.
A second.
I had a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All right, hearing that, Madam Clerk?
Yes.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner White?
Yes.
Mayor Williams?
Yes. Okay, motion carries. All right. Item number 2 on the new business, discuss and consider act on ordinance 2022-10.
Is an ordinance of the City of High Springs, Florida, amending the City of High Springs Land Development Code as amended pursuant to an application LDC 22-03 by the City Commission relating to an amendment to the text of the Land Development Code providing for deleting in its entirety section 6.01.02.02 entitled Regulations Governing Subdivision of Land, Certified Parcel Subdivision, providing for adding a new section 6.01.02.02 entitled Regulations Governing Subdivision of Land, Minor Replat, providing for adding a new section 6.01.02.02.01 entitled Regulations Governing Subdivision of Land, Lot Reconfiguration, providing for deleting and replacing in its entirety the requirements of section 6.01.01.07 entitled Regulations Governing Subdivision of Land Exemptions, providing severability, repealing all ordinances in conflict, and providing an effective date. The appropriate motion is to pass ordinance number 2022-10 as read by title only.
All right, thank you, sir.
Mayor, I have one slide on this, just one.
Okay.
Sharing my screen. Can y'all see this?
Not yet.
Okay, but I must have done it wrong. Evan, can you bring up this one so I can go over it? Can you ask Kevin to pull it up? I'm having trouble getting it up. The minor replat. Yeah, this is that one. Can you go to number 2, please? what we're trying to do with this is put in place a minor replat process that also in a lot reconfiguration process. Right now, what we do is we do allow people to come in and split lots up to 3 lots, and we do that administratively. However, by state statute, we are only allowed to do less than 3. And in state statute, they now call it a minor replat. So we're kind of correcting that. So it would allow the zoning administrator to approve land proposed to be subdivided into less than 3 parcels. It would allow the zoning administrator to approve the relocation of common lot lines. So that would just be a lot moving, maybe giving an extra 10 feet or something to a lot beside it and losing it on the other lot. And there are some exemptions too to that, where it would allow the zoning administrator to approve the combination or recombination of previously platted lots. So that's when maybe there's 2 lots and someone wants to make it bigger and take a lot line away and make it 1 lot. And another exemption was to approve up to a 15% reduction in parking requirements, minimum lot size, or landscaping percentage requirements. And this really was for to encourage redevelopment downtown, so that we make it less cumbersome for people and they don't have to go through this long process, because some of those lots are just too small to fit everything on it. So that was to encourage some of the revitalization of downtown. Again, currently we do things up to 3 lots. This would allow us just to do 2 lots as far as minor replats, lot reconfiguration, and they'd have to, in order for staff to approve, they'd have to be in compliance with the comprehensive plan, the land development code, and all city regulations. If there's a variance to anything, it would still come up to y'all. That's all.
She said that's all?
That's all.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, go ahead, Commissioner, it's your pleasure.
No comments here?
Nope.
Okay, then, sorry about that. I will make a motion that ordinance 2022-10 be approved.
Second.
All right, we got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Any other questions? I guess I just say it for the record. Anyone from the audience? Since we still got one back there. Okay, Madam Clerk.
Yes.
Yes.
Commissioner Whites?
Yes.
Mayor Williams?
Yes.
Vice Mayor James?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Motion carries. All right, City Attorney, report and updates. Nothing to report. All right, thank you, sir. City Manager?
As Ross said earlier, our comprehensive plan came back from the state and they had 0 edits, which they say is very rare. So evidently we did a good job and we can move forward with getting it before you for approval now.
All right. That it? Okay. Well, Chief Gillingham, you have anything? Is he still there?
No, sir, I'm good.
All righty. It's on you.
Well, Bruce and Ashley, you guys rest up. Hot tea, lemon and honey. If you need anything, I'll drop it at the door. Don't worry. I'm not coming in, though. I just want to say to all the dads, Happy Father's Day. We appreciate you, all of you who are raising up the children. We appreciate everything you do. I know my husband is the peanut butter to my jelly, and my kids are really lucky to have him, so.
All right.
I want to thank the police department for being responsive to some citizen complaints about speeding in other areas of the city. I've seen you doing some traffic enforcement at some rather early hours, and I appreciate that, seeing that happen. Thanks.
Traffic, so that's why you send the extra blue lights all this summer.
Yeah, but between you guys and yes. Yeah.
ASO was on, oh, I'm sorry, were you through?
Yes, I am.
ASO was on Railroad Avenue this morning. They've had complaints as well.
Sheriff's Office in as well.
Yeah. I have nothing else.
Vice Mayor?
No, I'm okay.
Okay, I don't have anything. I entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion made.
All right.